Hi, I'm Krista Johnson. This is Sister here. This will be her 8th training session. She's only been here for a week today, but she's been learning the 5 boundaries. She's been learning to connect the rein to her feet and learning to find comfort moving forward. So we'll see where she's at today and we'll see what we can work through here. If you haven't watched my boundaries for riding and groundwork communication, go back and watch that for more information about the 5 boundaries, but I'm not going to go into detail about this. I'm just testing it out because she's still learning all these things. Let's see if she can connect that rein to that front right foot, step it over. That's pretty nice. I'm gonna let my rope slide. I'm gonna let her go out on her circle. I've got mine here. I'm just drawing it out, owning my space. She doesn't need to react to that. She just needs to not be there. So I like that she's put me in the saddle. She's in front of my shoulder. She's behind my belly button. And she's out of my space here. So I'm walking with my rein neutral on my left hip. She can either take the slack out of it or she can put it back there. That's her responsibility. But as I quickly found out when she got here that she was pretty good at wearing pressure. So I've been working on lightening her up more. And how I'm doing that is encouraging that forward movement and not the sucking back, not the pulling away. The more we can have an in-depth conversation with her back feet, the more light she'll be able to get. There she just took a little sigh. We're just getting warmed up today. We just came in and stood tied for a little bit and groomed and did a little introductory video. So we're just getting started for the day. I like here that there's slack in the rope. There's that little bit of swing there. There could be a little bit more slack, but this is a big improvement because she was pulling on me pretty hard when she first got here. So I'm going to see if we can work on her walk to trot transition. I'm going to stretch my hand out level, put a feel on the rope forward. If she doesn't follow that, I'm going to close this boundary behind her tail, slowly come up behind her hock and push the hock towards her nose. I want her to follow that feel off that rope, but since she didn't, I had to back that up with herding pressure. I'm going to ask her to trot again. Stretch out my hand first. Take that angle of that snap forward. I'm going to lift my stick. She's not following it. There, she followed it. I can put my stick down. I can put my rope hand right back in neutral. There, she trotted for a little bit on a loose rein. She wasn't pulling on me. She was on the circle. There, I'm going to encourage her to go forward. I'm looking for her to actually go forward in that trot to see if she'll stretch down at all with her neck, see if she'll flex at the pole, whether it be laterally or vertically or both. But I really want her to drive those hind feet underneath her. And she's an introverted horse, so she's got that natural suck back to her movements and transitions. So the more I can just work with getting her comfortable moving forward, the less and less of those jerky movements you'll see. And there she's just confusing me, asking her to get out of my safety bubble there with stop, because she's pretty good at standing still, but she's not great at finding comfort moving forward. But I want to help her be more confident in doing that. I'm going to ask her to trot. I want to see her start following that feel more often and me not having to use my stick. And there she kind of threw her head up, which is more of a suck back type behavior. She's not really thinking about going forward. She's not really thinking about trotting. I want her to think about trotting, and I want her to think about trotting a circle to the left. I didn't ask her to stop there. When we first started, we were stopping more, so she's checking in with me, and I don't want to make her feel wrong for connecting with me because I don't want her to check out. But at the same time, I don't want her taking over and deciding when we stop. That was a nicer transition at first, but she didn't commit to it. So I'm just going to keep working on unsticking her feet here and get her confident in doing so. She likes to stop in this spot here on the circle. If you notice, she'll either slow down or want to stop. And I don't want to micromanage her. I want to allow her to make the mistake, but I need to be ready to correct so I can be timely. Just like there. I don't want to make her feel wrong, but that snap is telling her where to go. And she started going the opposite direction of the snap. And this is that direct pressure that we have to teach horses to yield to. Because their natural instinct, opposition reflex, tells them to fight, push, and pull against it. But we need to teach them to yield so they can not only survive in our world, but so our riding communication will make sense. If every time I pick up my rein and she decides to go the opposite way of my rein, we're going to have problems. We also run into problems when they can't find comfort moving forward. So what you're seeing here is me improving on some common things that I use to fix any problems with a horse. Whether they buck, whether they rear, whether they're not good for the farrier, I do all these same things. And there she's getting sticky in the feet. I'm just going to hang in there, wait for her to make the right choice, and then she gets peace. There she's wanting to suck back a little more on the lead rope again. So I'm putting a little feel on it, kind of towards back behind where the stirrup would be if she were wearing a saddle. And I think sometimes when she's slowing down, she's just unsure. She's still really new to a lot of this, and we've been able to expand on what she learns every single day. She's a really, really smart horse. But she needs to find the spots where she's finding peace and no pressure. And when she's feeling pressure, she needs to think of what the answer could be to find that relief and that pressure to go away. That snap's telling her to go forward more. So is this back boundary behind her tail. She's confusing still because she's new of what forward means is forward scoop, and lateral up and down would mean to yield her hindquarters away. Well, actually she just did the opposite there, but she got heavy. I don't want to allow her to pull on me like that. I didn't really want her to stop there, but I wanted her to engage her hindquarters more and bend laterally and put slack back in the rope. I'm going to allow her to stop there because she's connecting back with the center of the circle, and I also put slack in the rope. And I do want to consider that she's new and she's learned a lot. And this is her 8th training session now. She's learned a lot. But I want to be able to expand on it. We need to be able to do more than 1 or 2 trotting circles and be okay and relaxed about it, and to continue with that responsibility until I ask her to do something else. Here I'm asking her to follow the feel off that rope and lower her head or take a step forward. And she's just kind of wearing that. She's happy to wear it, and that's where I'll close that boundary that I was telling her was there, to get her to follow that rope and put the slack back in it. So I don't want her to ever think it's okay to just wear pressure. She looks like she's kind of sleepy-eyed there, so I think she's processing a lot. So I just want her to put that slack back in the rope, and then I'll let her finish her thoughts. And I'm not trying to hit her in the head and say you're a bad horse. It's just that rope is pretty tight. She's pulling on my hand pretty hard, and she's choosing to go the opposite way of the rope. So I'm just trying to use the stick to say, hey, don't be there. Follow the feel off that rope. And as soon as she drops her head, she avoids that boundary above her head. There, she's got that really sleepy-eyed look in her eyes. I don't know if the camera can see that or not, or zoom in on that. So I'm going to let her think about all that for a little bit here. A lot of times introverts will have trouble moving and thinking at the same time, so a lot of times they'll want to stop to process and of course allow that in the beginning, but then we need to progress so that she can actually think her way through things while her feet are moving, because that's, when I get to want to ride her, I want her to move around. We got to do more than just stand there. But we're only a week in, and just allow this. Anytime you see your horse mentally process, just stand there and wait with them. Get real calm, get real quiet. Allow them that safe place to just mentally process what just happened. A lot of times it can feel like you're standing around not doing anything, but it's so important. And the best part about it is when they can find that relaxation, that safe, comfortable place to sit there and think about things with you. That's the best thing in the world. Because we need to teach them that we can provide them safety, comfort, leadership, and responsibility. Those are the 4 needs of the horse, and they get those from their herd. A lot of times they don't know they can get that from us, and a lot of times we don't know how we can provide that for them. But that's where those 5 boundaries come into play. Because as long as she's between those 5 boundaries, wherever I tell them that they are at the time, she'll find peace, she'll find relief. There won't be any pressure. It'll just be her and I going together. But you have to teach them in a lot of different ways that they can find you and look for that peace with you. But it's an incredible thing once they start realizing that. They'll be right there at the gate wanting to do stuff with you, like wanting to be the first one to get out and work and do something, because they find that those 4 needs that they have. And I've seen horses go from not wanting to be caught to being that first one at the gate, and sometimes they'll fight over who gets to get out first. And it's nice to see them make that change. She's been pretty friendly from the get-go, but she's thinking really, really hard. This might be a really long little session here that maybe I'll cut out in the video just because we're just kind of standing here. But if you're a nerd about this stuff like I am, like, this is fascinating to me to watch. And every horse will look a little different, and sometimes there's that risk that maybe they're just sleeping, but since she tends to be a little more of an unconfident kind of horse, I can definitely tell she's processing. Her one nostril is higher than the other, and watch her ears move back and forth, and she'll squint and open up her eyes more here and there. She's got her left hind cocked, and she's kind of shifting her weight. I'm just going to wait for her. There, she's got a little more awakeness in her eyes, and her ears are kind of going, paying attention to her environment, but then she's going right back to processing. But it's never a bad thing when a horse proves that they can use their brain, because that's what we want. We don't want them to be reactive. We want them to be thinking. And even if they don't know the right answer, that they know that they can try different answers and find relief when they finally figure out what that is. And hopefully that's what she's thinking about here. Ooh, there her ears just went back a little bit. I'm just going to wait with her. I'll show you what the whole training process looks like. I would rather have this in a training session than have them be reactive, pulling on me, trying to run away, trying to suck back, trying to be in that fight or flight, escape mindset. Right now she's thinking with me and thinking about what it was that we just did, and I'm just going to allow her that space and that time, however long she needs to do it. And I've had horses process like this for 45 minutes straight. It wasn't on camera, luckily, because it would probably have been the most boring video in the world to watch, but I was fascinated, and I tend to see it more with the younger horses that are learning stuff that they just don't know. I like that she's even inching a little bit closer to me, like she's trying to connect a little bit more. So there she heard something and was kind of checking back in with Mother Nature a little bit. We'll see if she comes back to center here pretty quickly or not. There, I might ask her, it was just a little feel on the rope. We'll see if she comes back. She wants to think about what she was processing some more, or if she's done. If she's done and wants to focus on outside environment things, then maybe we'll go back to working on some stuff, but I don't blame her for being a prey animal and for her being concerned about her environment. As long as she doesn't get really high-headed and really get up there she's kind of coming back more to center. But I don't want her to ever lose sight of me, whether I'm on the ground or riding her. I try to teach them to check in with me and not Mother Nature so much, but you can't tell them that they can't look at things. But the difference in how they look at it is what's important. If their eye is level or below their wither and they're looking, and they don't look for a really long time, they come right back to you. I'm not concerned about that. But when they throw their head up in the air looking for that escape, trying to find a way out, and then they just completely tune you out, that's when it's not okay, and that's where you need to kind of get in the way and get them back connected and back center with you. So there, I'm going to take it. Maybe she's done thinking about things. We'll see if we can connect that rein. It's going to be our direct rein. See if she can connect that to her front right. Didn't quite make the turn there, but see if I can get some forward. I like how she dropped her head there when she thought about going forward. I might stop right there if she's got sticky feet, because that was a really, really nice thing that she did. She mentally thought about going forward. She actually lowered her head. She didn't commit to it for more than a couple steps, but I like that she didn't pop her head up in the air and think about escape. So these are some of these little teeny tiny little things that are important and we can pay attention to. And some of these introverted horses, you'll see it in little increments. There, I let her think about that, and I'm going to ask her to go forward. She's still not sure what that means. I'm going to come my herding pressure back here and drive the hock towards her nose. I like that she lowered her nose. I wanted her to go forward, but she was thinking about it and dropped her nose, so I'm going to take that. These are the small little increments that you can reward them for doing when they're learning something completely new, because she does not know how to find comfort moving forward yet. We've had glimpses of it the last 2 days, but the first time I handled her, she would just pull on the rope as she went around and was essentially running away, not really connected to whoever's handling her. There she just did a really lick and chew, that introvert lick and chew that's hard to see, but she kind of got a sleepy-eyed look on her again there, so I'll just wait with her here again. Be actually interesting to see if I stay in this position, if she'll inch forward when she's done thinking about that or not. And it's not that she's being lazy or doesn't want to work, she's just really thinking about these things. Now, these are the slow little steps that we can take to unstick those feet and to get her to find that comfort moving forward. But if I get too handsy and trying to make it happen, I'm just going to get her to, I'm most likely going to scare her and then put her in that escape mindset that I don't want her in. And it's so interesting the difference between introverted horses and extroverted horses. I do all the same things with them, it's just the process can sometimes look different. There, she's kind of inching that front left forward. She's thinking about it. Now she's kind of just cocking that leg, but I'll let her finish her thought and see if I can get her to move out forward. If not, we might put her back in a parking space and try to send her out again. But I don't like how she kind of missed that turn when I did send her out, but maybe she wasn't fully done mentally processing her thoughts. She just got distracted by some things that she was hearing in the environment. But now that I see that she's still thinking, I'm just going to let her process, relax, think about things, not be concerned about the environment anymore. I could pet on her with my stick because it's important to balance that out, but now is not the time to do that. I usually try to not pet them or touch them too much when they're processing like this, unless she jumps or something and I need to defend my space. But I'm just going to get as quiet as she is, other than I've got the video camera on, so I'm talking to you, but it's always interesting when their ears, if you could see on the camera, but her ears rapidly went back and then back forward. And it's another thing that you'll see when they're really processing something. And that's how I can usually tell, that they're actually thinking and not just taking a nap and snoozing on you. And the other thing is their one nostril will sometimes be higher than the other, and they'll kind of switch back and forth. It's a pretty windy day here today, and the barn makes all kinds of noises when the wind blows, and I like that she's not concerned about any of that right now. She's feeling safe and comfortable with me, and her responsibility is going to use that thinking side of her brain and try to follow where that snap goes. Right now the snap's just kind of in neutral. There she did a little lick and chew. She's licking and chewing quite a bit. Sometimes they'll yawn, sometimes they'll blow out and let go of some more adrenaline. There she's kind of looking away, but you can see how much lower her eye is from her wither. So she's still very much mentally processing, and when they do that, it's kind of like an introvert thing, or making too much eye contact. You kind of get shy and you look away. And that's kind of how I read that. She's not really checking in with Mother Nature. She's still thinking, but it's very much aware that the wind is blowing or doing whatever. But what I like is her eyes below her wither. She's thinking, she's blinking. And it'd be really cool if she finishes thinking, then she asks me a question on what to do next. There, she's taking a deep breath, a big sigh. I like how she's kind of stretching her nose down and forward. The important part is I'm trying to talk to her feet, but the reason why I'm trying to talk to her feet is to get to the mind. If you can get a horse to think about something, that's what you want to reward. If we take the pressure off or give them relief after they've done everything in the task physically, our timing is too late. We want to try to, if we miss the timing on the thought of them doing it, try to get that shift of weight. When you feel or see that slightest shift of weight towards that right answer that you're looking for, then take the pressure off. Let them know they're on the right track. And the reason why that's important is if they're feeling any kind of pressure while they're doing the task that you're asking them to do, they're going to think maybe that wasn't the right thing because they didn't get relief there. And that's why it's so important to have horses on a loose rein, whether you're on the ground or on their back, and give them that responsibility and ask them what you want them to do, and then allow them to do it without pressure. And then if you need to correct as necessary, then by all means correct. But it takes time, experience, and just working with horses to get your timing right. The better you can learn to read things, the better you can learn to feel things, the better your timing's going to get. The only way to do that is just to get out there and do it, put the time in. She's still thinking, so I'm just going to let her think about that. Just doing another lick and chew.